It's Carolyn Grimm with the Nonprofit Financial Mastery. I want to talk to you today about functional expenses and why it's important, how to manage them, all that stuff. So let's jump in. So first of all, what are functional expenses? It's all about categorizing things by purpose or use. And what that tells us is how much of our budget goes directly to satisfying our mission. The higher that percentage is, the better it looks for the nonprofit. So we categorize our expenses into three different categories: program services, management and general, and fundraising. Let's take a look at each one of those. For program expenses, we are talking about the funds that go to directly aid our beneficiaries. So if we're running a child care center, then our beneficiaries are the children, but also their parents. So these are the funds that are expended directly to benefit those people that we're serving. It would also include program staff salaries. So for our child care center, it's those people who are actually taking care of the children in that program. And it would also be any kind of program supplies and materials. So we're providing a snack or we're providing art supplies for that program. Those things all get classified into program expenses. Now, when we're talking about management and general expenses, we're talking about those things that are for running the overall nonprofit. Things like rent and utilities for our office space, not the child care center, but specifically for our office space. We're talking about our administrative staff salaries, things that can't be applied to a program. And we're talking about things like accounting and legal fees and insurance and all those other miscellaneous things that we need in order to keep this nonprofit running. And it could be office supplies and equipment. Again, these are specifically for running the nonprofit, not for running one of our programs. The fundraising category, those are the expenses that are directly related to us trying to raise funds for our organization. So it might be something like a fundraising event. You're going to throw a gala or an auction. It would also be for things like a direct mail campaign. So printing and postage for your annual fund letter. For grant writing expenses, salaries or the fees that we're paying for grant writers. And then marketing expenses like printing up a flyer or brochures or an annual report. Those are all fundraising related expenses. Now, why do we want to separate these expenses out? We're required to, first of all, just for transparency for our donors. Our donors want to know how much of our revenue is actually going for program-related expenses. It's also part of our reporting for our IRS Form 990. So we break those expenses out by category on our 990. It's also used for grant reporting. So our grantors are going to want to know for our specific program that they gave us a grant for, how are those funds expended? Are we using those funds that they gave to us for a specific purpose for that specific purpose? And it also helps to build trust. It helps to build trust in our community when we're being transparent about how we're spending money. It builds trust with foundations that may be giving us a donation or a grant, and it builds trust with our grantors, builds trust with our volunteers. And it also helps us to understand the costs involved in running our organization and raising the funds that we need in order to keep that nonprofit going. Now, not all costs are clean cut. This is for program, this is for administrative. There are some costs that would be shared costs. So, for example, we have both our office and our child care center in the same building. So we would be splitting out things like rent and utilities for that building. We also may be splitting out the costs of salaries. For example, if you have an executive director who does program work and does administrative work, we would be splitting those costs out as well. The way that we do this is we use a reasonable allocation method in order to split those costs up. So, for example, if we're talking about that executive director, we would be looking at the percent of their time that they spend doing actual program work versus the time that they spend doing actual administrative work. And the key here is that we're going to choose a method and we're going to use it consistently. If we're using square footage for our building, we're going to use that method consistently so that other people looking at it can understand what we're doing. So dividing those expenses out into those functional areas helps us to get really clear about how much we're spending in each of our programs, how much it costs us to run the actual nonprofit, and then how much it costs us to raise the funds that we need in order to keep going. And the higher the percentage that a nonprofit is spending on those programs, the better that looks to anybody who was looking to donate to the nonprofit. So there you have it, functional expenses, and I will see you in the next video.